Hello everyone, this is Zephyr here, and welcome to Demon Souls. Now this is Demon Souls on the PlayStation 5, the game that was remade by Blue Point Studios. Granted, I guess it's not a true remake because they did use a lot of the previous source code and just basically gave it a new coat of paint. I'm gonna go ahead press a button here so that we don't have the cutscene again, though it may play even sitting here. So I'll just try and keep moving through menus so we don't go through that again. But so this is the remake. I'm extremely excited to play this. I loved the original Demon Souls. I played that game just a ridiculous amount. It's probably the game I played the most on the PlayStation 3. So I'm really excited to go through it again with updated graphics and sound, and there's apparently new stuff in it, though they said that the core code is the same. So I'm going to hit new game so that we can see. Right, so one thing I will say, I have started this game once before. There were a few things that caused me to feel the need to start over. So while this is not blind just because I played the PlayStation 3 game, it's also not blind for at least through the first area, because I've played a little bit of the PS5 remake. I had recorded it, and I decided that I needed to go back. One reason was because I discovered an issue with how saves work in this game, which we'll talk about in a second, and then the other issue is that I wasn't happy with the character I created, so I decided to start over. And unfortunately, you can't just delete individual saves. For whatever reason, the game only lets you delete your entire profile, so if you decide that you don't like your character or a second character you made or whatever, you can't delete them individually. You have to delete everything or just deal with it. And I couldn't just deal with it being there, so I found a way to work around that, basically always keeping my cloud saves up to date before I make new characters so that I know I'm happy with the character before I get too far. That way, if I need to reload to get rid of that save, I can. So I've played up through the first area, so I do apologize for that. Other than that, anything that they've added that's new is blind, but I can't call this a blind playthrough just because they have said there's not too much difference. They want to be very faithful to the original game. And since I've played the original game many times, doesn't matter that it's been years ago, I can't really truly call this blind. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and take care of the character customization, and then I'll come back and we'll go through and I'll just kind of show you the system. But with how long it takes me to do character customization, there's no point in really showing that. I will say, though, the negative to me having to start over again is obviously that you're not going to get my initial reaction to starting up the game for the first time. There's nothing I can do about that. But that's the negative. The positive is I've literally spent hours figuring out the exact way to make my character in the character creator so that it is as close as I can get to what I look like. It's not perfect because the character creator won't allow me to get everything exact, but it's as close as this character creator will allow. And that's pretty cool. And I'm not kidding. I literally was counting pixels and such to get this as close as possible. So now I know I won't have an issue with my character, and we should be absolutely good in that respect. So I will be back in just a moment to talk to all of you and show off the little bit here, and we'll get into the game. So I'll see you all in a moment. All right, welcome back, everyone. I've completed character creation here, and we have everything set the way that we want. So we'll go ahead and go through each of the options here. If I repeat any of the things throughout this video, it's because I'm trying to remember everything I wanted to talk about. And I know I've covered how excited I am to play this game and a little bit about blind and stuff like that, but I'm just forewarning that if I repeat stuff, it's really just because I'm just trying to make sure I cover everything that I wanted to cover. I think we're doing a good job so far. So, character name is Xephyr, obviously. That's kind of a given. The class that I chose is Knight. So we are a wandering swordsman. Which means that kind of strength is like our primary stat, but we are kind of well-rounded otherwise, and we use one-handed straight swords and a bit of magic. And so that's kind of why I chose the knight class, because even though our character does not swear fealty to any lords or anyone in particular, I shouldn't say in particular, anyone at all, they're technically not a knight. However, the perception of them would be that they're a knight because they wear heavy armor, they use a sword, and due to their skill and actions, they are looked at, and like if you were to look at him, you would see, probably your first thought would be, oh, he's a knight. So technically, he's not a knight in the sense of being the like societal class or their actual role in the world, because they're a wandering swordsman, but the perception would be knight. And so that's why I chose it, is because the stats, equipment, and all that fit properly for the character, even if the title doesn't. So the other classes that are available, and just so you know, your class doesn't really matter. It just affects your starting stats and your starting equipment. You can completely change everything around to be whatever. You could start as a barbarian and end up being a like full-on magic using mage by the end of the game. You can do whatever you want. This is just to set you up to begin. So we'll go through the classes and kind of talk about what each of them are. So there's soldier, a low-class soldier that always stands at the front line of battlegrounds with high vitality and durable armor equipped for encroaching dangers. Knight, a knight class of a rather advanced area of southern Boletaria, fitted with sturdy armor and adept at close combat, ready for ensuing situations. Hunter, a specialist at outdoor activities, wields an axe and bow, well versed to deal with both manners of danger. Priest, a soldier of the church that believes in the god of this world, adept at close combat and can draw upon a restorative miracle. So you'll notice all of these. There's no on the right hand side, top right hand. There's those two little slots, and the first three didn't have anything there. Priest is the first one. That's just where miracles and magic go. So the priest is the first of these classes that actually has any kind of spell, and it's a miracle, so that means it's based off of faith, and it's just a healing miracle. It requires a talisman to use, which the priest also has. Magician, a commoner that officially learned spells, skillfully commands magic spells with high intelligence to deal with combat afar. So you'll see they also have spells, and instead of a talisman, they have a catalyst. So catalysts are for magic, talismans are for miracles, and that's just those are the only two types of spells in the game, are miracles and magic. Wanderer, a lightly equipped soldier that continues an aimless journey, wields a falchion and dagger to handle situations requiring quick wits and fast reactions. And I'll just talk about this for a moment, because you're probably thinking, well, if you're a wandering swordsman, why did you not choose Wanderer as your class? And the simple reason is that while the title fits, the stats and stuff don't, because the Wanderer has high dexterity and very low magic and faith, so they wouldn't really be using any kind of magic or anything. And their strength is just average. And like I said, we use strength as our primary stat. We use a straight sword, not a curved sword, and we, would on occasion use magic and stuff, so we wouldn't want our magic and faith to be low. So the stats and gear don't fit. So my option was stats and gear or title. And to me, it makes more sense for the stats and the gear to fit, because the title is just how people perceive you, and so it doesn't really matter too much. So I did decide to go with Knight, even though Wanderer is here, because it just doesn't, our character wouldn't be starting off fitting for themselves. Barbarian, a person from a primitive civilization, though lacking in gear, pure strength matched with high health, wielding a powerful club. That sentence never makes sense to me, and I don't know why they repeated it. It seems like it's supposed to be saying something, and then it doesn't. It says, though lacking in gear, so you'd think there'd be something after that, but instead then it just says, pure strength matched with high health, wielding a powerful club. So it's like, what? But yeah, so this class just has high health, high strength, and endurance. Everything else is kind of average or low. Thief. Thieves are hired by royalty and engage in dirty jobs. Specializes in crafty and indirect tactics over conventional methods. Temple Knight. A special knight that protects the temple of God, heavily clad and equipped for crowd control, who draws upon a restorative miracle. I'll stop here again. The reason I didn't choose Temple Knight, even though it gets to start with a spell when we mentioned that we would potentially use spells, is because our character is not religious, and so I didn't really want to have the word temple in the title. And also it's using a spear or halberd, which doesn't fit. And the stats don't quite fit either because magic is so low, but faith is really high. Now, I will be increasing our faith stat at some point because there are probably going to be miracles I want to use. But our character's faith isn't in God, it's in himself. And so it doesn't say that the faith has to be faith in some kind of deity. It's just faith. So our character can still use miracles because they have faith. It's just faith in themselves, not faith in any kind of higher power. Royalty. A person of royal descent who has officially learned spells. Command the spell of Soul Arrow with the benefits of a rare ring. So this class is kind of like the Magician. Its stats are a little lower when it comes to magic and intelligence. However, it has a different spell, and it actually comes with a ring. It's the only class that comes with a ring, which is kind of cool. It's also the lowest level starting class, starting at Soul Level 1, whereas Knight and Temple Knight both start at 4. Thief and Barbarian start at 9, and then I think the rest start at 6. Yeah. So Royalty's kind of interesting, but it just... It comes with a different spell because Magician gets like some flame spell, and then I don't remember what the other one is. Whereas the Royalty starts with Soul Arrow and a ring. So like I said, we're gonna go ahead and go with Knight. The one other thing you'll notice is sometimes the characters are hunched over and sometimes they're standing up straight. The reason for that is when they're hunched over, that's a sign that you are overweight. And I don't mean like completely encumbered. It just means so there's 2 different roles in the game. Unlike Dark Souls, which had multiple roles, there's only 2. You're either under 50% equipment burden and you have the good roll, or you're over 50% and you have the bad roll. So if they're kind of hunched over there like that, that means they're over 50% and they're going to have the heavy roll. That's what that is. And it's kind of cool that that's there. I don't think the original game had that little tell, but it's been so long since I've played, I don't know for certain. But I think it's a very cool detail. So like I said, we're going to take Knight. I've kind of covered our character's background. So now we get to look at starting gift. This is completely new to the remake. The original Demon Souls did not have a starting gift. That feature was started in Dark Souls 1. So we get to pick a starting gift. I'm taking the Providential Ring. So what this is for our character's backstory, this is just a ring that his friends made for him prior to him leaving on this quest. It's just meant to bring him luck and kind of be a memento and give him a reason, like a remembrance of what he is fighting for and what he has to return to. So it's just kind of like a little memento from his friends. Now, to actually look at what your options are and kind of talk about the meta part, the reason I'm taking the Providential Ring is it's the only one that isn't a consumable. I didn't really consumables are fine, but I didn't really want something that would just be gone eventually. Like, it's kind of a cool idea that it's like, oh, prepping for this journey brought some extra consumables. I just like the idea of having something tangible that you're always going to have. And so that's why I decided to go with the ring. And like I said, the backstory is just that his friends gave it to him before he left to bring him luck and to remember them by while he's away. So the other thing I was thinking is just taking none, but they put the feature in, so I want to use it. And then on top of that, I feel like our character would be smart enough to bring something to kind of assist with his journey, or if anything, to kind of like, just like I said, an heirloom or a memento. Starting with none is just kind of like, eh. So the options that we're not taking, but are here, are Auget of Guidance. A stone that radiates a guiding light. Pretty certain this is just like the prism stones in Dark Souls, where you drop them on the ground and they leave a little bit of light to kind of be like almost a trail of breadcrumbs back where you came from. Grass Jelly recovers some of the user's HP over time. So this is like a healing item, but instead of giving like an instant health recovery, it gives you like a regen. Elixir temporarily increases the rate of stamina recovery, so it's the same thing as the Grass Jelly, but for stamina. Though, actually, might be a little different, because it increases how quickly you recover your stamina. It doesn't just constantly keep recovering it. So, if you're using stamina, you're probably not going to be recovering it as you're using it, so it just makes it so you recover stamina faster. Bright Water recovers some of the user's MP over time. So this is like the Grass Jelly, but for MP instead of health. So you just get like an MP regen. Providential Ring raises item discovery, so that's what we're taking. Just makes us find items on enemies more often. Kunai, poison throwing weapon. So this is just a weapon you throw at enemies, and after a couple of hits, they'll be poisoned. And how many hits it takes is dependent upon the enemy's poison resistance. Firebomb, oil cask, produces a large flame when thrown. So this is a throwing item that causes fire damage. Soul Remains serves as bait for the soul starved. You throw it on the ground, enemies will go after that instead of you for a short period, so it's kind of nice distraction if you are being overwhelmed. And Fire Arrow, inflict fire damage when equipped with a bow. So they're just arrows that you shoot with a bow, but they do fire damage instead of standard damage, or they might do some standard damage and some fire damage. I don't know offhand. This deluxe items bundle thing is just that if you got the digital deluxe edition, you can turn this on and you'll have some extra items once you get to the Nexus. But we're taking the Providential Ring. So much like Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3, you can now save some of your character creations, the appearances you set up. You can only save 4, but that's still better than nothing, so it's much easier to recreate a character you liked or to kind of set a baseline that you can adjust later. So I do have our current one saved. Foundation, so body, there's 2 types, Type A, Type B. Type A is a female body, Type B is a male body. Animation, there's Style A and Style B. Style A is female, Style B is male. And then each, there's 6 voices. There are A, B, and C are female. And the reason I'm saying it that way is because you can mix and match all of these. If you want to be Type A body with Type B walking style and vocals E, you can do that. So from the standard idea of things, I don't know a nice way to put that without offending someone, but that's how I'm going to say it. From a standard way, vocals A, B, and C are female voices. A is the highest, B is the middle, C is the lowest. D, E, and F are male voices, D being highest, E being middle, F being lowest. I'm going with D because I know my voice is a little hot on the higher end. And when I listen to them, they all kind of aren't great. But D had a couple of grunts that I was like, that kind of sounds like what I'd go with. So we're taking D. So male body, male walking, voice D for the male. So appearance, here's our character appearance. Like I said, I spent way too many hours messing with this to get proportions correct. And it took a long time, but I know now through math and comparison and counting pixels that this is as good as I can make this character look and as close to my appearance as possible with this character creation system. This character creation system is by no means perfect, but it's good. It's very thorough. There's a lot of different options. The original Demon Souls character creation, you basically just had a default and then you used sliders to adjust everything. This one, you can choose from some presets, and then in each thing in each section, you can choose a couple of different things and then use sliders to adjust them further. So weight's at 0 because weight doesn't increase your body weight. It only increases the fat in your character's face. So I just left that at 0. Age is 20 because I don't have wrinkles, and all the age does is add wrinkles. But I chose the skin color that was closest to mine. So then face, you can choose the top half of your face and the bottom half of your face, and then you can adjust the width, height, and depth of the face as a whole. Brow, you choose your eyebrows, change the color, and then you can choose. You can adjust the ridge and the height. So like I said, you can make different selections in each one and then adjust accordingly, which is quite a bit different from the original Demon Souls. It's much more in depth, and I shouldn't say more in depth. It's a lot easier to make something nice because you don't have to just mess with sliders constantly. And the biggest problem with the original Demon Souls is that you'd move one slider and it would move every other slider as well to compensate. Whereas this one, if you move a slider, it only moves that slider. So you pick the options that you think look best, and then you adjust them as you want with the sliders, and then you're set. So it's a bit easier to work with and get something that looks good. So that's very cool. So this is what we're going with. This is our character. I'm extremely happy with it now. It took just so long, and I literally have direct comparisons and counting of pixels to verify in my head that this is as close as I can get. So I'm pretty stoked about that. So with all of that, that's character creation. That is the beginning of the game. We can finally get into it. Like I said, I have played a bit of this, but luckily not too far. So I'll cover as much as I can about different topics that I want as we move through the next area. And I'll try not to repeat myself too much, but we'll see where we end up. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna mute myself so that we can watch the opening cutscene, and then we'll finally get to jump into the game. So I will talk to you all in just a second.
King Alant XII, by channeling the power of souls, brought unprecedented prosperity to his northern kingdom of Boletaria. That is, until the colorless deep fog swept across the land. Boletaria was cut off from the outside world, and those who dared penetrate the deep fog never returned. But Valifax of the Royal Twin Fangs broke free from the fog and told the world of Boletaria's plight. That the old King Alant had roused the Old One, the great beast below the Nexus, from its eternal slumber, and that a colorless fog had swept in, unleashing terrible demons. The demons hunt down men and claim their souls. Those who lose their souls lose also their minds. The mad attack the sane, and chaos reigns. Valifax also spoke of the enticing power of the demon souls. Each time a demon claims a human soul, the demon's own soul is invigorated by the life force, and the power of a mature demon soul is beyond human imagination. The legend spread quickly. Mighty warriors lured by the possibilities braved the fissure to breach the accursed land, but none have returned. Bjor of the Twin Fangs, Yurt the Silent Chief, Saint Urbane, Skirva the Wanderer, the sixth Saint Astraea with her Night Girl Vinland, and Sage Frake the Visionary. The colorless deep fog slowly creeps beyond Boletaria's borders. Humankind faces a slow and steady extinction. The deep fog will eventually swallow all lands near and far. But Boletaria has one final hope. A lone warrior who has braved the baneful fog. Has the land found its savior? Or have the demons found a new slave?
Brave soul who fears not death. I shall guide you to the fissure. So that you may lull the Old One back to slumber.
Okay, here we are in the Outpost Passage. If you've played the original Demon Souls, you can already tell how much better this game looks. Our character with their armor, just how much higher the detail is, the stone walls, the foliage, just everything. It looks truly amazing. Now, before we move into this area, we should just look at our equipment because we didn't really get to see what our loadout actually was, at least not by name or anything. So our main hand weapon, or right hand weapon, is a longsword. So if you've watched any of my other Let's Plays, you know how much I like a longsword. So for me, this is fantastic, a great weapon to start with. We also have a second main hand weapon, which is a mailbreaker. Our armor is the fluted helm, the fluted armor, the fluted greaves, and the fluted gauntlets. So pretty standard heavy armor. And then we have a kite shield. So as I mentioned, this gear fits our character perfectly. So while the title doesn't quite fit because our character isn't truly a knight, it's easy to see why they'd be mistaken as a knight because of their equipment, their skill, and the way they carry themselves. So it's still fitting. The ring is our starting gift, the Providential Ring, so that's all that is. And then we also have a Noble's Lotus, some Half Moon Grass, and some Crescent Moon Grass. Our equip burden is currently at 89.8%, so we're going to have that heavy roll, so that's unfortunate, but we'll just have to deal with it for the time being. And then one other thing I'll mention is we also have this stat called Item Burden. So this game has a lot of inventory management built into it. You can only carry as many items as your item burden allows. Once you hit your max item burden, you won't be able to pick up new items. This was their way of kind of managing how many curatives you had. It didn't work very well because you can actually increase the item burden by increasing some of your stats and stuff. So you'll be able to progressively carry more and more. And in the original game, you basically could just have a ridiculous number of healing items. It didn't really help that much in the long run because it's mainly with PvP. With PvE it did, but with PvP mainly because if you go to heal, someone's going to capitalize on that unless you stunned them first, because there is a pretty long animation for healing. So, you know, it kind of is ridiculous how many healing items you have, but at the same time, it's not going to save you in PvP for the most part. Bloodborne had a similar healing system because you could collect blood vials from enemies and keep restocking in that sense, though you were limited to a max of 20 unless you used certain sigils to increase that max. But you could only really keep around 20 healing items, but you could restock by killing enemies. This one, there's no 20 limit. It's your item burden is your limit. And then obviously Dark Souls had the Estus system. I don't think any of the systems are necessarily better than each other. They're all just different for their respective games. All of them have their own balance issues. So it is what it is. I like the grasses just because I like them as a healing item. I like the kind of lore behind them and everything as opposed to Estus or Blood Vials. But the systems themselves, I don't have a preference. So we'll read item descriptions later. For now, let's just go ahead and get into this so we don't spend too much time talking without action. So we'll get some action and then we'll do some talking at the end of the video. And if you hear some noises, one of my cats is just having a grand old time in here with me, which is fine, as long as he behaves. So all the mechanics for attacking all the button-like layouts are all the same. The only difference is there's no jump in Demon Souls. Jump was first added in Dark Souls 1. So other than that, everything is the same. The only other difference, obviously, is Bloodborne didn't have a shield, so there was no guard. Instead, you had the trick weapon. Obviously, this one we have guarding. But otherwise, everything else is the same. I mean, even Bloodborne had parry on the same button prompt, so I'm not going to worry about waiting to be told how to do things to do them, because I already know how. So R1 standard attack. This is the tutorial area, so all the messages are just going to be how to do stuff. Like I said, I'm not going to wait to see them to do those actions, but that normally if you're new to Demon Souls, this is where you learn how to do stuff. Or I guess if you're new to Souls games in general. So left stick plus holding circle is how you sprint. L1 to guard, as we already saw. R3 is the target lock. Hitting it again will release, and then once you're locked on, you can use the right analog stick to change targets. Oof. The one downside to some of the animations is that you won't get hurt while you're in the animation, but then while you're coming out of it, you can get hit. So you can sometimes take damage from doing an attack. It's unfortunate. Oh, forgot to lock on. My bad. Okay. Get some more Crescent Moon Grass there. Alright, square to use an item, down on the D-pad to switch items. The left analog stick plus holding circle to vault over railings. More Crescent Moon Grass. This is kind of cool. Look, I mean, just seeing how amazingly beautiful this stuff is crazy. But you can also see that clearly the castle's been getting attacked or damaged in some way because there's a fire up there. Things are damaged and needing repairs. It's not in the best state, but this is... I love how they've recreated these areas and how beautiful they look now. Circle will do a back step. Left analog stick plus circle will do a roll. As I mentioned, our roll is going to be a heavy roll at the moment, so we're probably not going to be using it for the foreseeable future because I really don't want to... It does give you some invincibility frames and you can dodge stuff with it. It's just not the best. Oh, come on. And to get rid of the heavy roll, we'd have to take most of our armor off, so we're not going to do that either. Oh, I end it wrong again, which leads into him doing his stupid spam attack that doesn't hurt too bad, but it's annoying. Okay, some more crescent moon grass. I think we got everything here. Alright, I'm going to take 1 second. I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that. We can continue forward now. Like I said, I think we got everything in this area, so we should be good to move on. Kind of hope that they added a weapon that is the sword that's in the Archstones. Similar to how Dark Souls 3 gave you a... There was a sword you could make that was the sword that's always stabbed into the bonfires. I can't remember what it was called, but I kind of hope they added, because the original Demon Souls didn't have one, but I like the look of the sword that's stuck in the Archstone, so I kind of hope they added one. That'd be nice. R2 for strong attack. I know they added some stuff to the game, but I don't know what all they added to the game. I'm sure they kind of avoided adding too much because they didn't want to affect the balance too much, but it'll be nice if there's a decent number of new items and things to check out. L2 to parry, and after parrying, R1 to riposte. Already done that a couple of times. I'm terrible at riposting, or parrying. The riposte I'm not bad at, because that's easy. You just hit R1 after parrying. But I'm terrible at the parrying. But it's really powerful in this game, because in the original, and I'm sure it was due to lag. Come on. I'm sure it was due to lag, but the sometimes you could roll out of, and this was only in PvP, but I think it was only in PvP, but you could roll out of backstabs so that you wouldn't get damaged. You just had to time it right. And so that stunk, because if you got backstabbed, or if you backstab someone, they could just not take any damage from it. And I'm sure it was due to lag. So it might not be an issue in this game, but it just meant that parrying was a lot more powerful, because I don't think you could roll out of the parry damage. I think it was just the backstabs. Wield weapon with both hands by using triangle, and triangle again to release. So this is important because two-handing a weapon actually does more guard break damage. So if an enemy has a shield up, like this guy, of course he would immediately attack instead of having the shield up. But if they're using their shield, two-handing makes it easier to break through their shield. As you can see there. Well, no, he died. Whatever. But yeah, so that's just something to keep in mind. If you're having trouble breaking through an enemy's guard, two-handing your weapon is a good way to get past it. Switch right-hand weapon and switch left-hand weapon with the left and right on the D-pads. So you can see here. Now, one thing of note, switching weapons does not change your equip burden. Your equip burden is everything that you currently have in your equipment slots. So even though I'm not using the Mailbreaker right now, the Mailbreaker is still affecting my equip burden. The reason that's important is because we don't have anything in our left-hand slot, our second left-hand slot, I mean. But even if I switch to my second left-hand slot, the kite shield's weight doesn't suddenly come out of my equip burden. It's still affecting me. So it's just important to know that. You can't just like switch the shield off by hitting left on the D-pad and then expect to suddenly have a faster roll. It doesn't work that way. Crescent Moon Grass. Unknown Warrior Soul. Not seeing anything else around here. So, normally I riposte these guys, or parry and riposte, but the problem is when you're on an incline, I'm surprised that didn't one-shot him. When you're on an incline, the riposte almost never works. You can parry, but then when you go to riposte, you'll probably just do your normal attack. So, I usually won't try and parry and riposte when on an incline, because it can throw me off a bit when I expect to riposte and it doesn't riposte. Crescent Moon Grass. Head on through here. That was a weird grunt from him. Okay, some Half Moon Grass. This is actually one of my favorite spots. I just love how this looks. The light shining down in here with the ceiling broken in. This just... And the remake just makes it look so amazing. Like, this is just incredible. Alright, we're going to heal up. Might as well heal to full. Shoot, did I just accidentally... No, I think I still used the Crescent Moon Grass. I switched to the Half Moon Grass mid-animation. I was worried that I'd end up accidentally using the Half Moon. But I think I just used the Crescent. Alright, so this is the Vanguard Demon. This is our first boss. He's not super difficult, but if you're not careful because of how weak you are at the beginning of the game, he can kill you very easily. The big trick is to consistently... Oh, crap. Yeah, I expected that. I thought he was doing an attack, and he instead just did the jump. But the trick is to stay behind him. Heal if you need to. If he jumps, just back up. It's just kind of hard sometimes because the camera makes it difficult to see some of his tells. And when he likes to back into a wall, which he does a lot, it's hard to see. The other problem is that jump, he shoots out rocks, and those rocks can hurt you. So it's not just him landing on you. The trick, though, is, one, stay behind him, and if you need to heal, wait for your opening and then heal instead of attacking. Just be patient. He's doing the jump a lot, which is normally good, but we're in a bad spot for fighting him. So I kind of wish he would not be right here. But if you stay close and you keep strafing behind him, most of his attacks can't hit you, which makes him a little easier. But I would not say he's easy because all it takes is one little mistake and you lose. The fact that he's fighting me right here sucks. I should have attacked there, but he's doing the jumping, huh? Yeah, this is an awful spot to fight him, and I hate that he just got stuck here. Now, he's left me a lot of openings, but I want him out of here. Because right now, I'm pretty certain that I cannot easily strafe him. So if he does start doing his other attacks, I'm kind of in trouble. Yeah, see? I'm in trouble. Okay, heal up. Yep, I can't strafe him properly right now because of how he's standing. I should have healed. Okay, good. He backed up a little bit. That'll leave me a little more opening here. I'm gonna heal again. As I said, just heal if you have to. It's the best thing you can do. Don't get cocky here. If you gotta heal, just heal. But the big thing is don't heal right after you get hit. You want to heal when you have an opening because he does follow up some attacks pretty quickly sometimes. It's not common, but he will do it. And it only takes 2 hits to die. So if you panic and you heal when you're not supposed to or when you're not clear, you will end up dying. You just gotta be patient. It takes a bit to beat him, but it can be done. And remember your stamina. Don't overcommit. Let your stamina recover when you need to. A lot of times you'll see I'll only do 1 attack instead of 2. I probably could do 2 attacks, but I'm trying to be I'm trying to pay attention to my stamina and make sure I don't just burn through it. Shoot, his step hit me, which sucks because that means that a hit from the axe will probably kill me. Yeah, it sucks when he gets stuck up against a wall, but a lot of his attacks will still let you strafe behind him. So just be patient. That's an attack that makes it really easy to hit him multiple times. The one where he just like slams the axe down. Being a dick about staying up against that wall. I didn't think that would hit me, but okay. That, I'm surprised, didn't hit me. This is a very not clean run, but it's okay. All that's important is winning. It doesn't matter if it's clean or not. Okay, this is the best time to heal. Sucks that I used all my Half Moon Grass, but I'd rather use them and survive than not use them and die. So... like I said, just be patient. Watch for his tells. Don't... It's hard not to make mistakes. Like there, at one point there, I did make a mistake, and I thought he was jumping and he was doing an axe attack, which is rough. But there we got the win, which is good. Definitely not the cleanest run. Demon vanquished. You shall obtain the demon soul and a power beyond human imagination. So, definitely not my cleanest run, but again, it doesn't matter if it's clean. As long as you survive, that's all that matters. So yeah, I'm out of Half Moon Grass. I'll get more eventually. It's no big deal. However, you only get 1 chance at this fight. This area that we're currently in, you can never go back to it, ever. I mean, you can if you start a new character, but the character you are currently playing on, so you can never come back here. This area is 1 time, that's it. So beating him is important because you get items for beating him. So if you don't beat him, you literally miss out on stuff. So the first thing that you can miss out on is this gray demon soul. So that's a boss soul. If you've ever played any of the Souls games, you know what a boss soul is. It's basically just a drop that you get from beating a boss that can be used for other things later. So that's the first thing you can miss. The next thing is there is another area we get to go to. So we'll go ahead and touch the Archstone and move forward. Alright, the Unknown Egress. The only way to get to this area is by beating that Vanguard Demon. If you lose, you can never come to this area on that character. So it's pretty important to beat him. So that's the second missable thing, is just this area. And it's a pretty cool area. It's interesting because we see this door here. So clearly this is a path or something that seems to be going through the mountains. And we can see that there's a giant demon back there. So I don't know what this is supposed to be, if this is supposed to be part of the path to Boletaria and it passes through the mountains and this demon has just set up camp on the way to Boletaria, or if this is supposed to be like some kind of ritual site or what. It's hard to really tell. My assumption is this is part of the path to Boletaria, since that's what we were doing, is we were heading to Boletaria and heading through what seemed to be like part of the castle town, and this must just be like a mountainy area that is part of the the path and kind of protecting the castle. That's my assumption. I don't know for sure, but yeah, this area is just cool because it's sort of hidden, because you're not, if you're new to Demon Souls, you're not expected to beat the Vanguard Demon. The expectation, if you saw, I get hit and I'm almost dead, the expectation is you're going to die to the Vanguard Demon, and so you'll never get here. So this is like a little bonus reward area for beating that first boss. So the next missable is this Iron Helm. Now this Iron Helm is super cool because I don't believe this was in the original Demon Souls. Or at least it wasn't in this spot, because this is, I believe, the original fluted helm. So this is the fluted helm we have now. I believe this is a redesign that is part of the remake. This is the original design. If you look at the cover of the original Demon Souls, this is the helmet that's on it. So I believe this was, I believe that originally they planned to just have our current fluted helm, and then because of fan complaints that they changed it, they added this in as kind of an Easter egg. The thing I don't know is if you can get another one of these somewhere else in the game, or if you don't beat the Vanguard Demon, you just miss out on this. I'm not sure. The good news is it has the exact same stats as the fluted helm. Like, the only difference is the design. We're going to wear it because, of course we are. We earned it, and it's just a reminder of the original Demon Souls, and I like it. The rest of the stuff that's here, they're technically, missable from this area, but they're all stuff that you can get infinite numbers of elsewhere, so it's not that big of a deal. Instead, it's just more of a beginning of the game reward for beating the Vanguard Demon, just kind of an extra assistance, but nothing really super special. But it is cool to check this guy out. And, I mean, there's lava down there, so he's in a pool of lava. So I'm not sure. Like I said, it seems like this is probably a path to Boletaria, but at the same time, like, there's lava. So I don't know if the demon put the lava there, or if we're in a completely different area than where we were originally heading. It's kind of hard to tell. So we get some full moon grass here, which is better than both crescent and half moon grass. I think it's actually 2 steps up from half moon grass. Another full moon grass there. Pretty cool statue. I just love the ambiance and the design of this little area, and just knowing that it's a little bonus area that you may never see if you never beat that you would never see if you never beat the Vanguard Demon is just kind of cool. So this, you almost miss this guy. He's just sitting here up against the wall. He's got 2 full moon grass for us. There's no items up there, so I think we just have to grab the ones that are down here now. Alright, so some hardstone shards. We'll read about those in a bit. Sharpstone shards. Renowned Warrior Soul. Another Renowned Warrior Soul. And another Renowned Warrior Soul. So that's it's kind of cool. You just get a couple of bonus items here. Like I said, it's just kind of like a reward for beating the Vanguard Demon, but it's nothing that's too crazy. The only things that are really a big deal are the Great Demon Soul, the Iron Helm, and then just the act of getting to see this area. All right, well, let's go challenge this guy now. Yeah, that didn't go well. You died. However, the Nexus traps you. You shall remain in this world forever as a soul. Yeah.
Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended. Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended. So the world might be mended. is the Nexus. It holds together the northern land of Boletaria. Thou canst not quit the Nexus, but the 5 archstones will guide thee to the outer lands.
The Nexus. So I just love that you get these nice little rewards and early bonuses for beating the Vanguard demon and surviving, just for the game to be like, nah man, you gotta die, and you just cutscene punched in the face to death. I will say, well, let me read this first. So, you have died, and the Nexus has imprisoned your soul. You cannot escape the Nexus. However, by capturing demon souls, you can reclaim your corporeal body. Alright, we got an Nexial Binding. So, I will say, one of the reasons that Demon Souls is, to this day, my favorite Souls game is because I like the world and the lore and the explanation of things a lot better in this game than any of the other Souls games. And I don't know why. I know there's plenty of people who prefer the other games' lore, but for whatever reason, I just prefer the way that it's explained that the reason you have soul form is because you're bound to the Nexus. There's magic at work. And I know that in Dark Souls, there's the undead curse, and that's what's keeping you alive, and every time you're renewed, you're more and more hollow. But the problem with that is you can die an infinite number of times in Dark Souls, and you never lose your mind and go hollow, like you're technically supposed to for lore. And I know that's because of gameplay. Everyone would get angry if their game just ended after a certain number of deaths or whatever. But I just feel like the Demon Souls lore makes more sense because there's no understanding that if you die too many times, you're going to lose your mind or anything like that. Like you're bound to the Nexus. You're stuck here. You can never leave as long as you're bound to the Nexus. And so your soul will just be trapped and trapped and trapped. And so I like that. I think it fits better. There's probably loopholes that I'm not seeing, or not loopholes, plot holes. But for me, I prefer this. And Bloodborne's got the Hunter Dream, which never made sense to me. So I'm not even going to get into that. But of all the Souls games, the lore and the world and all the things in Demon Souls are my favorite. And I'm sure that's part of the reason why it continues to be my favorite Souls game. Now, before we explore the Nexus here and talk to people, we're going to look at the items we have in our inventory and go through their descriptions, as is the way of Souls games. So we'll start with just our consumable items here. Now, some of the descriptions, we don't have to read the entire description because some of them are just repeats with slight word changes, namely the name of the item. So I won't read absolutely everything. I'll just read the things that are unique. So Crescent Moon Grass, a medicinal herb named after the lunar phase, consumed to recover a small amount of HP. The effects of moongrass vary depending on its state at the time of harvest. Crescent moongrass is picked while very young. Now, normally I'd have half moongrass to read, but I used them all to survive that Vanguard fight, which, like I said, I don't mind, because while it wasn't the cleanest fight, I did survive. I did win, and that's all that matters in the long run. So the next one is Full Moon Grass. So this one's consumed to recover a very large amount of HP, which is nice. And let's see. Full Moon Grass is picked from the vanishingly small quantity that mature to emit a full glow after withering. Noble's Lotus, the petal of a crimson flower that floats on water, consumed to counteract poison, became a popular ornament amongst the nobility for its beauty. Nexial Binding, the mark of those imprisoned by the Nexus. The bearer of this seal is bound to the Nexus, never to be free, even in death. When the body is lost, the soul remains trapped. Nexial Binding returns the servant to the Nexus, but alas, without any souls collected. So if you use this, you'll go back to the Nexus, but you lose all the souls you have. Unknown Warrior Soul, the echoes of a soul found on the corpse of an unknown warrior, consumed to gain souls. Go on. If left alone, it would only serve as feed for demons. Renowned Warrior Soul, it's the same. Grey Demon Soul, the soul of a Vanguard demon, a source of great power, consumed to gain a large number of souls. Certain demon souls transmute into magic, miracles, or weapons. Now, you also notice a lot of these don't have super long descriptions. While a lot of lore is within items still, it wasn't until Dark Souls that they really started putting, like, tons and tons of lore in the items. So, like, the Vanguard Demon Soul doesn't really tell us much about the Vanguard Demon or anything. We don't really get much out of this. That's just the way it is. They really went all out on putting lore into items, starting with Dark Souls, but Demon Souls doesn't have so much of that. It's still there. It's just not as heavy. Okay, so here's the stones. So Hardstone Shard. A shard of hard ore reinforces straight swords, axes, hammers, and the like. A rudimentary ore that evenly increases a weapon's strengths. Weapons can be reinforced by hardstones up to level 10. So this is just like a standard upgrade, but this is used on weapons that generally scale with strength, whereas the Sharpstone Shard is for weapons that scale with dex. A shard of sharp ore reinforces daggers, curved swords, spears, and the like. A rudimentary ore that evenly increases a weapon's strengths. Weapons can be reinforced by sharpstones up to level 10. So both of these are just like flat basic upgrades. There are plenty of other stones that we'll find throughout the game that do different types of upgrades, as is pretty standard. Weapon upgrades in Demon Souls are a bit confusing for the most part. We'll kind of cover that once we get to actually upgrading weapons. But for now, just know that these are your real base upgrades. Auget of Souls, an iridescent stone fueled by souls. Changes color depending on the nature of nearby souls. Crafted by Gary, known for his magic handicrafts and close acquaintance with Sage Frake, the Visionary, or Sage Frake, I think it is. Widely carried by travelers who depend on its ease of use and light weight. Longsword, a standard straight sword. Though run-of-the-mill, straight swords are versatile weapons that provide a normal attack, which is effective against a wide variety of targets, as well as a potent thrusting attack. Mailbreaker. Though this exceedingly small rapier lacks a cutting edge, it can pierce the toughest armor. Rapiers boast great damage despite their narrow attack range, performing well against metal armor and hard scales in particular. However, they are easily parried and do little to break an enemy's guard. One thing I'll note, if I can find it here... How do we see this? There it is. Okay, so you'll see the Mailbreaker just says it does pierce. All of its attacks are pierce damage, whereas the longsword has normal and pierce. So almost every attack from the longsword does normal damage, but that thrust, the first attack of the R2 attack, the first strong attack, that is a pierce attack. Kite Shield, a medium-sized metal shield issued to knights of the relatively advanced region to Boletaria's south. The yellow dragon crest signifies knights of low rank. No arrows yet. Armor. So this is kind of fun. So, Fluted Helm, an iron helm with finely cut grooves worn by knights in the relatively advanced region to Boletaria's south. The grooves reinforce the thin iron sheet. Its weight slows stamina regeneration. Pretty much all heavy armor will slow your stamina regen. If I remember correctly, most people back in the day in Demon Souls very rarely wore heavy armor because of this, because heavy armor would slow stamina regeneration, and heavy armor doesn't really give a huge defense increase from light armor. So a lot of times it just makes more sense to use light armor and not have the stamina negative, whereas it's supposed to be you're supposed to be giving up stamina regen for more defense, but unfortunately the defense really doesn't do a lot, and the stamina regen kind of sucks. But the best thing is just use what you want to use. It can all work. I like wearing the heavy armor, even if the defense doesn't do a ton. I prefer the way it looks, and the stamina regen isn't the worst thing in the world. You can kind of deal with it, especially once you start to get your stats up and have more stamina. But what's funny is the Iron Helm. So all these basically have the same description. Oh, because there's two pieces. Got it. I just saw that it changed to there for the weight slow stamina regeneration, and I realized it's because there's two gauntlets and two boots. But all these basically have the same description. As I said, it just changes which one. So this is Iron Greaves, Iron Gauntlets, Iron Armor, but it's still the same description otherwise. But what's cool is the difference between the Fluted Helm and the Iron Helm. Iron Helm says an Iron Helm of classic design, as opposed to an Iron Helm with finely cut grooves. The classic design is just supposed to be a nod to the original Demon Souls, because, as I said, this is the original helm design, and I don't believe this one existed. I think this was just the remake's take on it, and they decided to throw this back in as an Easter egg because there was some outcry from fans. They changed a few other things thanks to fans speaking up, namely... there was a boss that had its appearance changed a little bit to be more in line with the original game. We'll talk about that once we get there, but it's just kind of funny. So let's see. So, Providential Ring. A luxurious ring of simple design raises the chances of item discovery. Once the most prized possession of a merchant, he bet his life on the hope of greater riches. So I know this says that that's what this ring is from, but obviously, as I mentioned, this was a gift from our friends to hopefully give us good luck and to kind of be a memento and a reminder of what we have to return to when we complete our quest. So that's where ours comes from. Ours is a gift from our friends. So that's all the items that we have in our inventory currently. The one other thing I want to talk about while we're in the menu is the tendency menu. So there are two types of tendency. There's world tendency and there's character tendency. I'm going to start with character tendency because I don't have much to say about this. I don't remember exactly how this affects us. This is primarily affected by multiplayer, but not completely. When we get to a point that affects character tendency that is not multiplayer, I will talk about it. But for now, just know that you can either have white or black character tendency. World tendency is the same. There's white and black, but it affects some different things. But it's hard to talk about without spoiling stuff. So just know that it's there. There's white character tendency, black character tendency. We'll cover it more when we really are at a point where it matters. World tendency, on the other hand, is always important. So as I said, there's white world tendency and black world tendency. The difference is the more white the world tendency is, the less damage enemies will do, and the worse the item drops are. So you're basically making the area easier, but you're getting worse drops. Black tendency does the opposite. The area becomes harder. Enemies do more damage, and they take more damage. But the offset for that is you get better drops. They have a higher drop rate on items, and there's a higher probability of getting better items from them, from their drop pools. So that's the difference. Now, how it works is to get more white tendency, you have to defeat bosses. There's other things that does it too, but we're not going to talk about those until we get to them. But just to understand that when you kill a boss, the world moves towards white, which means there's a limited way to actually get to the maximum white tendency, which it's important to get to maximum white because there are some events that happen when you get to maximum white. To go towards black tendency, you just have to die in your body form. So there's an infinite number of ways, basically, to get to... Well, no, there is. You can forever get yourself to the maximum black tendency if you want, because you can keep getting your body back. There's an infinite way to do that. So it's much easier to get to pure black than to get to pure white. So you have to kind of be careful about pure white because you want to get to it and get those events done before you accidentally move it back to black, because if you beat all the bosses in an area, there's no more ways to get it to pure white. Sort of. Again, we'll talk more about it when we get to it. But just know that you have to be careful with pure white. Pure black, you can be a little less, you can care less about it because you can always get back to pure black. The other thing of note is that when you're online, when you first log in and start the game up, all of the world tendencies will return to the average. Sorry, one of my cats knocked stuff down. All of the world tendencies will return to the average of everyone who's online. So if you get it to pure white or pure black and you don't do your events and you log out, the next time you log in, it's going to go back to the average, which is almost always a little bit towards white. At least that's how it was in the original Demon's Souls. So you got to be careful with that because you could get it to pure white by beating the final boss in an area and then log out for the day, not doing your white tendency, you come back, and all of a sudden that area is no longer in white, and you could be locked out of getting pure white for that run. So you got to be careful about that stuff. I'll talk about it more when we're actually working on it, but just know that that's how that works. When you log in, you're going to be set to the average. All right, so now we get to explore the Nexus and talk to people.
Well, you slipped through the fissure too, did you? You came for demon souls? Or to save this land and be remembered as a hero? Hunting for demons? Try one of the archstones. Now go. That is why you came, is it not? To this accursed Boletaria? You came for demon souls? Or to save this land and be remembered as a hero? Bah, it It's all the same. You're just another prisoner of the Nexus. We're welcome here. As long as we keep slashing up demons.
Yeah, he doesn't have the most positive outlook. This is the beginning of I think they're calling like the Forlorn Warrior or something like that. But every Souls game, except for maybe Bloodborne, there's always a guy who's like a blue tint who's just very depressing and sad at the hub area for the game. And it's one of the things that started with Demon Souls. It's amazing that that feature's been around since the first Souls game.
I'm Stockpile Thomas. When the Scourge came, I didn't know what hit me. When I came to, I found myself here in this Nexus. My wife and daughter fell victim to the demons. But I would be worthless in battle. At the very least, I hope to lend my assistance to you brave slayers of demons. I would be happy to lighten your load and look after any excess baggage.
So this is where your storage is. So as I mentioned, there is item management because of item burden. So this is where you go to store your items when you don't need them, and then you'll come pick them up when you do, or if you want to switch out your loadout or whatever. But this is where you're going to store all your currently unneeded stuff. So let's finish his dialogue, though, because he has a bit more to say.
When the Scourge came, I abandoned my wife and daughter and fled like a coward. When I came to, I was in this Nexus. I haven't dared venture outside these walls since. I wish I could do more, but I am ignorant of the world beyond these walls. A candle maiden cared for me during my first days here. She says very little, but has a kind heart. She's just the age my young daughter would have been. Poor girl. Trapped here with her eyes occluded by wax. If only something could be done to help her.
So that's one of the reasons why I think that Dark Souls was meant to be a sequel, but due to the issues with Sony owning the IP and whatever happened with them and From Software, why Dark Souls wasn't, is there's a lot of things that kind of carry over outside of just the name Souls and Souls being a currency and stuff. Like, all the Firekeepers, like, they always talk about how they're like blind. They see darkness or whatever because of, I can't remember the exact reason, unfortunately, offhand. But the Maiden in Black is the same. Her eyes are covered so that she can't see. And it's just another one of those features that they've carried through each of the games, even though Demon Souls is a completely different world and lore than Dark Souls. They still kept that kind of stuff. And that's why I think that they were meant to be linked, and they just decided not to due to not owning the IP.
If only something could be done to help her.
Okay, so that's all his dialogue. So let's look at the storage. The first thing we're going to do, we've got some items in storage from the Digital Deluxe Edition that we need to read through. So the first things are just some souls. They have the same description. They're just different names. So we got 5 Renowned Warrior Soul, 2 Storied Warrior Soul, and 1 Legendary Hero Soul. These are a good way to get some souls real early in the game. Do not use them yet, though. There's you can't do much with them at the moment, and if you use them right now, there's a high probability they're just going to end up being wasted. So just don't use them yet. You should hold on to them for just a little while longer. Next, we have these 3 grains. These are actually brand new to the remake. These were not in the original game, and they're pretty cool. So, preservation grains. Ground blend of herbs and jelly with a slightly sweet smell. Grants additional resistance to status ailments temporarily. The denizens of the valley believed the mixture of dried herbs and various spices purged the air of toxins that cause disease. So this is nice. This is an item you can use to increase your resistance to bleed, poison, and plague. Next one, phosphorescent grains. Grains made from dried magical slug remains. Grants additional resistance from magic damage temporarily. The slugs thrive in the fluorescent water. And the last one, bearbug grains. The bearbug husks crushed into powdered form. Sprinkling it over the user grants additional fire resistance temporarily. Since ancient times, the miners have used the grains as a remedy. So, status ailments, magic, and fire. These are just items that give you a little bit of resistance. This is pretty nice because if I remember correctly from the original Demon Souls, there weren't a lot of ways to increase your resistance to status ailment, magic, or fire. It's just whatever armor you had, whatever resistances they had on them, that's what you had. There were probably a couple of spells or miracles that could help, but for the most part, you couldn't really do much. So this is pretty cool that they added some items to allow you to actually be able to increase your resistances by a means outside of using magic and miracles. Or just straight up having to change your armor loadout to something that has more resistance that you want. Okay, so this is a large hardstone shard, so it's the same description, it just says large shard, so we don't have to worry about that. But this is a moonlight stone shard. A shard of ore which glows with moonlight, reinforces straight swords, curved swords, axes, hammers, and the like, imbues weapons with a powerful magic effect. Weapons can be reinforced by moonlight stones up to level 5. So, it's also used for weapon upgrades, but what it does is it changes it to having magic damage on it and scaling with probably the magic stat, I would assume. But also notice it will only let you reinforce a weapon up to level 5, whereas these let you reinforce a weapon up to level 10. So that's something of note, and is similar to other Souls games. That different weapon paths have different max levels. They still all end up being pretty powerful, but depending on what your stats are and what you're looking for, whether getting to level 10 with a standard hardstone or getting to level 5 with a moonlight stone shard or the other ones, you kind of have to base around how you built your character out. All right, we got 2 weapons to look at. So this is the Reaper Scythe. Looks pretty cool. Both of these were in the original Demon Souls, but you couldn't get them to use. They were only used by enemies. Now we can actually have them as a weapon ourselves. Reaper Scythe, a pole weapon with a curved blade on one end used for slash attacks. Originally wielded by a sorcerer that commanded spirits of the dead, pole weapons can mow down many targets in a single blow, but are difficult to handle and require both strength and dexterity to use. Which is true, because you need both strength 13 and dexterity 13 to use the weapon. However, it does scale better with dexterity, as it has a D in dexterity and E in strength, but it also does bleed damage, which is pretty cool. The other one is the Ritual Blade. A large ceremonial blade of an ancient tribe from an isolated island, an unorthodox weapon that uses its heavy weight to sever enemies. The effect of an optimal hit deals more damage than normal. Optimal hits are basically critical hits. They're not luck-based. What they are is if you hit an enemy either with a specific move or with the right part of the weapon, you'll do an optimal hit, which just does more damage. You can see this one is only has a strength requirement of 12, and it scales with strength at D and dex at E, which basically the dex is almost nothing, but it's still there. Next we have the Hoplite's Shield, a medium-sized metal shield specifically designed for Boletarian legions. The reinforced center of the shield is ideal against direct attacks. The legion's protective formation was renowned across the kingdom. Due to this, the shield's weight, I'm pretty certain it's a great shield, so it can't parry, but I don't know that for sure. The requirement to use it is 19 strength, so we won't really know until we get a lot more strength, but I'm pretty certain, just based on the weight, that it's going to be a great shield. Red Eye Knight Helmet. The helmet of the Boletarian Knights is emblazoned with the image of the sun as proof of their commission from the king. Using Stone Fang's hardened iron, it is heavier and stronger than a regular helmet. Its weight slows stamina regeneration. So the Cuirass says the same thing, as do the gauntlets and the greaves. They just change based on which piece it is. But we also have this Boletarian royalty clothes, official robes of the Boletarian royal family. The strong fabric is accented with details of carefully sewn gold thread that represents the prosperity of the kingdom. So we've got that set as well, but it doesn't have a helmet. It's just body, gloves, and boots. Then lastly, we have the Ring of Longevity, a legendary ring with an engraving of a flowing river. Increases max HP. Once given only to the bravest warriors, the ring would ensure their safe travels back home. So we'll retrieve that because we're going to use that since we only have one other ring. And then we're going to deposit some stuff that we don't need on us, like the Unknown Warrior Soul, the 3 Renowned Warrior Soul, and the Great Demon Soul. We also don't need our shards on us right now. We don't need the Fluted Helm because we're going to use the Iron Helm. And that's it. Okay.
Rest assured, your goods are safe and sound with me. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to you.
Yeah, Stockpile Thomas is like the most useful. Well, I shouldn't say the most useful. He's one of the most useful NPCs in the Nexus because that's where you store all your items. So he's pretty important. We'll go ahead and throw on our Ring of Longevity, which weighs almost nothing. So that's at least nice. It didn't mess with our equip burden too much. Apparently, equipping it doesn't affect our equip burden at all. Neither does the Providential Ring. That's weird. Okay, so rings must not affect equip burden. They only affect item burden. Interesting. Okay, good to know. All right, next NPC. If I can... There we go.
You new here. Are you here for my services? The name's Baldwin. I'm just an ordinary blacksmith. It's simple. Just bring me all the souls you can. In trade, I'll give you weapons. Or forge the ones you already have. With your souls, I can eke out a living. And with my weapons, you can go on living. Not a bad deal, right?
Okay, and we'll finish his dialogue first.
If you haven't heard, there's another blacksmith at the entrance to Stone Fang Mine. He's an eccentric old man. He knows his trade well. He's the only sane one left in a town of soul-starved men. If you do meet him, no, forget it. That stubborn old ne'er-do-well will just chase you off. There aren't enough smithing tools in this temple to handle all the work. Only certain ores can be used to forge weapons. But you'll just have to make do. And be thankful that I can do anything for you at all in this forsaken place. And be thankful.
Okay, that's all his dialogue.
At all in this forsaken place.
So he can repair our equipment, which just costs souls. There's no item requirements. It just costs souls to repair everything. So that's important to note. Won't worry about it yet. You can upgrade weapons. That takes materials and souls. The one thing that's nice is if you upgrade a weapon, it also repairs it. So that's at least good. And then he's also a shop. So he has Crescent Moon Grass. Fresh spice consumed to slightly replenish MP. A pleasant spice that eases the mind, consumed to replenish a small amount of MP, used by nobles as a luxury and by magicians as necessity. Ed's Sharpening Stone recovers durability of right-hand weapon. A sharpening stone used by Ed, blacksmith of Stonefang. So this is the other blacksmith that the guy was talking about, because the guy we're talking to right now is Blacksmith Baldwin. Repairs wear on the weapon wielded in the right hand, restoring its durability. Dagger. A standard dagger, a slashing weapon that inflicts heavy damage on soft flesh, but has a limited effect on metal armor and hard scales. Daggers deal the most damage after parrying, or better yet, stuck squarely in an enemy's back. What's interesting is this does slash and pierce, unlike the longsword, which does normal and pierce. Short sword. See, this one does normal and pierce just like the longsword. A small straight sword. Though run-of-the-mill, straight swords are versatile weapons that provide a normal attack, which is effective against a wide variety of targets, as well as a potent thrusting attack. Battle axe. A standard axe. A versatile weapon that provides a normal attack which is effective against a wide variety of targets. Following through with one swing, connecting will deal an optimal hit, inflicting more damage than normal. So, again, another weapon that has the chance to do optimal hits. Heater Shield, a medium-sized metal shield popular amongst warriors of the faith due to its ease of use. Arrow, standard arrow used with a bow. To use arrows, a bow must also be equipped. Bolt, a standard bolt used with a crossbow. To fire bolts, a crossbow must also be equipped. Cracked Stone Eye, a mystical stone that inhibits health recovery. Throwing it produces a large aura. Oh, so that's nice. So you can throw this and potentially stop enemies from healing. That's pretty cool, actually. Oh, that's expensive, though. 2,800 souls. Is it like an infinite use, or is it just a really expensive consumable?
last long here.
I have interest. I just can't do anything about it at the moment. I think it's the last NPC that we have access to at the moment.
Oh my, how has this happened? Has God abandoned us for being a land, failing to show proper respect? Oh, Mbasa. Oh, Mbasa.
Okay, that's all she has to say. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else here at the moment. So we'll just look around the Nexus. I absolutely love the Nexus. This is another reason why I love this game, is I think the Nexus is the best hub any Souls game has ever had. It looks amazing. It's really cool. It fits with the lore, and it's just, oh, it's so nice. So down here is just an area that, it's got some tutorial messages, but also mixed in, people like to drop just random messages. I'm not reading them because a lot of times they're pretty worthless, and it's just people like saying get good or lewd, rude things that they try and make with the message system. So I'm not going to worry about it, but it's mostly a tutorial stuff that I've already talked about anyway, so it's not anything we have to worry about too much. So these are the 5 archstones. And you're probably thinking, wait, but there was a 6th one. And that is correct. There is a 6th one. Here it is. It is broken. It has always been broken. It was broken in the original. It's broken now. They've outright said they have no plans to ever do DLC for this and make it a thing. It's unfortunate, but I get what they're saying. I believe what they said is that it's not their right to make this because they are not FromSoft, and that's fair. I don't know if FromSoft ever planned on doing DLC that would fix this Archstone. I think the rumor is that they originally planned to, and it just never happened. But for lore reasons, this was broken. I don't remember the lore. Hopefully we'll come across something that explains it, because I forgot what the lore was for it. But the reason that it still shows up in the tendency menu is because it was in the tendency menu in the original game, so they still put it here. And it could also, again, this is just people really hoping, it could also be because they wanted to just have it in the menu, so if they do change their mind, or if Sony asks them to, they will do DLC and repair the Archstone at some point to add more to the game. I doubt it will happen, but if it does, it would be cool. The original game will always be there if people want to go back to the original. So if they want to change stuff and add another region, I personally would be okay with it. I'm fine with new things that will give us new experiences. I've played Demon's Souls to death on PS3, so new things for me are exciting. I'm never going to think that they ruined it by adding more to the game, because I can always go back to the original if I want to. But that's why it's at least in this menu, is to keep with the original game, and it's still here and broken like it was. At some point, I'm sure we'll see the lore and remember why this broke. But for now, just know it's broken. It's always been that way. No, there's probably not going to be a DLC to repair it. And no, I don't remember if it was planned DLC in the original game that just never came to fruition. I don't know. I think that was always just a rumor. But here's the other two. So let's go see what's up here. Fish checking out the Nexus. I know this is a long video, but I want to make sure that our next video we can go right into the next part. And I also just want to verify there are no other NPCs. I don't think there are. Not right now, at least. Okay, we'll go up to the next level. And yes, if you fall from up here, you will die. You can die in the Nexus. Just know that. Be careful. Don't fall. Oh, so well crafted and well made. I love these details. Ah, okay, yeah. This is closed off right now. We can't go up there yet. That's fine. I also love that there's candles everywhere, because it just kind of gives that knowledge that if the candles weren't there, other than the little bit of light that comes down from here, this place would be like pitch black. It's such a cool environment. ambiance is fantastic. I love it. I love it way too much, I think. Demon Souls is just fantastic, and this remake is just beautiful. Alright, so we've made it to the Nexus, we've talked to everyone, we've done our little exploring. In the next video, we're going to head into this first Archstone and start challenging the first area. So definitely look forward to that. However, for now, that's where we're going to end. So thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. You can also subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell icon to get email updates when I upload new videos. And of course, you can leave any comments or suggestions in the area below the video. I've also left my Twitch and Twitter links in the description. That way you can check out those platforms if you're interested. However, that is all I have for you today. So thank you so much for watching. And as usual, this is Xephyr, signing out.